But there's this place I haven't been in. It was right around the time I woke up. Right when I woke up. In fact, thinking about it now, it was probably some kind of catalyst or portal, but it was on a river outside of Houston, kind of northeast in this area, and I went to this gathering on the river, and man, it was an incredible experience. Yeah, a lot of holy places.
Hey, everybody.
We got 4 people in the house, so we're gonna have to wait a couple of minutes.
Okay.
We've been getting suppressed a little bit. Oh, let me put you up. Let me see if this fits. Yeah, it works. Yeah.
Wow.
Is that too big? I know I can't make it any smaller. They made it too big. They don't give you a choice. You can't move it.
It's okay. It covers my heart chakra. Keeps me protected.
Well, I'll flash it on and off because people will start asking. Oh, let me put the comments up. Boom. Okay. All right. All worthy accounts are being suppressed. That's true. Yeah, we just got back on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Facebook. And thank you, the alternative that is organically formulating from all of our efforts.
The AI is dissolving.
There's a lot going on. Now, look, Michelle Walling's in the house. I was thinking about it a while ago. It's been 6 years.
No.
It's been 6 years.
I can't believe that.
Yes. And I know this because we would connect at certain times. And there was always like big energy, something was going on. You look back now and you can see it more when, it's such a collective ride, back then it was like moving so fast, it was very personal. You couldn't see outside your field. But yeah, always very, certain moments. And yeah, it's good to have you back. For people that don't know Michelle Walling, and I usually, as you know, don't go into big intros or anything like that, but she's one that's been, there are people that have, if you've watched the show over the years, people that have woken up in the 60s, we've had them on the show, 70s, 80s, 90s, many in the late 90s, well before 2012. But there were certain people that got out there and took advantage of, the highest physical form of the ethers, the internet. And really, and having been doing this for a long time, most of them are men, especially in the early days. Very few women. So you were one of the first to get out there and really, put your information and your intel out there at the risk of ridicule, which, we were just getting used to because we were waking up, but you had already probably been through. But yeah, so I just want to give you your props on that and say it's really good to see you. And just one little cliff note. Michelle always has very intricate, in-depth, personal, and multi-dimensional information. So, it's going to be good to hear what she has to say after 3 or 4 years. Welcome.
Cool. Thank you, Todd. And gosh, you have been a pioneer in someone who could stay with this. And I think only the divine masculine could hold that. And you have your partner backing you up and holding space, and having that support is everything when it comes to putting information out, because I went through a very, very hard period of attacks, and my own personal journey was amazing. And one day I think there's going to be a movie screen and everybody that had, like their life could be played by actor or whatever and be reenacted just by reading the new Akashic records as to what happened. And it's going to be so fascinating when we can see all the things we tackled behind the scenes, not realizing when it was manifesting in our real life what we were taking care of. And so for those that don't know who I am, I started my awakening in 2010. And in 2013, I met Greg Prescott of N5D at one of his conferences. That was my first beginning to learn about attacks. Everyone in that room at a certain speaker got attacked that day and in my back. And that conference was so interesting because it was half light and half dark. And Greg is the kind of person that loves everyone and allows everyone to put any kind of information out there. And I think we learned a huge lesson about the dark at that time. That's really what we needed to start to dive into. So I started working with Greg in 2013, basically after I met him. 2014, I really started doing a lot of writing and radio shows for N5D. And we had a really good friendship and a really positive, interaction for a while until we started, both of us, I think we look back and we really were interfered with a lot. And from there, I started doing, as I started building a base of listeners, I started doing life coaching and on michellewalling.com. I also, with Greg's help, learned how to create a website, howtoexitthematrix.com. And lately, over the last year or so, for people who were interested in following my personal struggles and experiences and all the things I've learned, I have a Patreon group called How to Exit the Matrix. And we get into a lot of personal details, but of course no one's going to learn everything about the secret circle, the secret project I've been on for the last 3 years.
Wow.
That is why I could not actually, connect with you. It was 3 years before that I really started getting ill. And I think I may have told you that on private, I didn't know what it was. It manifested in 2019, I think, as an esophageal issue where my esophagus started closing down towards my stomach, right above my stomach. I became unable to really eat or drink very much. And then eventually, as it began to clench up, I would have to have a cup with me everywhere I went because the blockage was such that I would have to spit up. I try to get half the water down or a quarter of the water down and spit the rest up. And same thing with food. I went through that for 2 years. And it had started earlier on. It was a very gradual thing. And I had surgery in 2021. And that was a lesson for me to rely on Western medicine to be able to handle this issue. But there was a lot of guidance. There was one surgery method that one doctor told me about, and I found another surgery method on YouTube that was actually new. And in my mind, I was thinking, wow, did they create that for me? Because it had just come out. It was very, way less invasive. I literally was able to eat and drink the very next day.
Wow.
The problem is because of my whole life, as when I was born, I was watched over by the dark. I had mononucleosis when I was 15 years old. Various different things to suppress my immune system over my life. Lots of trauma. Everybody's got it, but I believe when you watch my movie, you're going to see, oh my God, I was here to share love. I was also here to transmute energies for the divine masculine. And interestingly enough, I projected myself more as the divine masculine in order to connect, but also, the divine feminine was there, obviously, in my presence, in my, the way I look, and how I'm empathetic, and how, organized I am, and how I, need things to be this. I did a lot of work with a lot of men over the years. I had a lot of heartbreaks and a lot of confusion, not understanding why I couldn't stay with someone. Is because I was supposed to reach as many people as men as possible and help share codes, show them what they had to work on, which men normally do not want to know about. Love them, and then inevitably it would all fall apart. And there's a lot of information on that kind of false twin flame relationship And there's also, Eve Lorgan's love bite. So you have the love bite, and then you have the real souls that you actually were supposed to meet, and you weren't supposed to stay together. You were supposed to shake things up. You were supposed to share codes and love and help transmute energies and then go on to the next. So that's my life, story in a nutshell. But eventually, because of the traumas, because of the heartbreaks, because of, these relationships always falling apart, I used food a lot for emotional support, for grounding. And I thought as a starseed, I thought to myself, my ego was saying, well, uh, if you're going to come to Earth, and your reward's going to be you get to experience all the cuisines and all the fun there is to have. So my whole life, I pretty much ate whatever I wanted, but would diet every now and then when I'd realize I was getting a little bit too much. What I didn't realize is that there were many factors because of mono, because of um, all of the toxins. It's mostly toxins that caused my illness, and the not enough knowledge about how to clear those toxins and what they can do. And my grandmother had diabetes, and I think it, literally skips one generation. And I literally had diabetes for the last 6 years, or pre-diabetes, that really manifested at least 3 years ago into more of diabetes, and didn't know what I didn't want to accept that I had that, because in this spiritual realm, in the spiritual community, we're taught that we can heal ourselves. We're taught that we raise our vibration and it's more powerful than anything, and that we can overcome these things. So I really tried. And as a holistic life coach, here I am sick, and I'm like, how can you walk the walk and talk the talk if you can't do this for yourself? So I went behind the scenes for a while for self-healing, and I actually worked with a group, a divine masculine that's working with his twin, and other people that are behind the scenes that are part of it and reporting on it. And I think Ramona Lappin is one of them. So that's why when she was on your show, uh, was that yesterday? I don't remember.
I think it is. It's hard to remember these days, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what triggered me. Okay, you know what? As I'm doing much better now, by the way, and if we want to get into how I am healing my diabetes and my toxicity through natural methods, without going to any doctors and without taking any medicine, I can go into that later. But I'll just pause with that right there, just to let you know where I've been for the last 6 years.
Yeah. Wow. Whew.
There's a lot of things to go into about
No kidding.
illnesses and things
I
like that.
mean, okay, so I knew you before all this. We connected in synchronicity. Like, I remember, it was, I think, about a year ago. And it was just this quick thing, like some information. It was weird. It was one of those things where, for some reason, one of us reached out to the other and said, I think it was you, and this came in. I just needed to tell you, and I had gotten something. When those things happen.
Yeah.
But I knew
I was
you.
really
Yeah. No,
I
go
was
ahead.
really a lot more in tune 6 years ago, and I believe that as this illness progresses, it literally starts to disconnect you more from your higher self. It starts to disconnect you from the world. It gives you, when your physical appearance starts to, diabetes is it's all toxicity, right? But diabetes is actually insulin resistance, and I'd like to talk for just a second about the cells, because it is very important. Your cells have these little receptors all around the outside of the cells, and they take in all of the hormones. So you have insulin, you have thyroid, you have the testosterone, the estrogen, and there's another one that has to do with your hunger. And I think that's all of them. And then when you have toxins and you have diabetes, these receptors get broken off, or they get inoperable, and they're unable to take all of your hormones into your cells. So your cells become, dying and damaged and blocked off. And if you think about it, I mean, I've done all the research really on my own, because doctors never, I was healthy. I went in and I had blood tests, over the last 6 years, probably 4 or 5 times. All my blood work was fine. Never did they take a fasting blood sugar. Never did they tell me to fast and come in. So if you think about it, if your cells are blocked off from hormones, then maybe they're blocked off from taking in the light too and holding the light. Because when we hold the light, we hold it in our water, we hold it in our cells, and we hold it in our body. And so I literally started dying, and it really did become very life-threatening, because I got COVID twice. And if you're not eating and you're not drinking, you're not hydrated, and you get COVID, and they're killing people in the hospitals, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm not going. So I made it through. I mean, I'm here, and look, I mean, I'm sure lots of people have been through a lot of stuff, and we're still here, and that's the important thing.
Yeah.
I want to share one more thing, because it's, while it's flowing and coming to me, a mistake that I made that I think people can learn from, and maybe you can see the progression. When I first started talking about ascension and exiting the matrix and all that, I really thought, I guess my ego and my mind thought, well, I'm a starseed, so I came in here as a volunteer, and when my job is done, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go home. Then on the matrix part, I thought, well, my body is just an illusion. This is just a hologram. I didn't give a lot of precedence, a lot of, worth to my body, even though, I learned to love myself and all that. The big mistake was thinking that my body wasn't as important as it is. And the big joke was that our body is the organic technology that actually is going to cause our shift in perception out of the matrix and into the new earth. So I should have taken care of my body a lot better than I did. And I was set up really from birth for toxicity and trauma that would keep me from doing it. But it's not going to happen that way. I'm very well capable at this point. If a solar flash or solar flare or love bomb or whatever it is called comes, I'm shifting. My body will hold it. The reason I know that is because every single day for like probably 20 or 30 days now, we've had a mini solar flare, a mini shift, every single day. And we're still here. We're able to handle it. It's getting better and better and better. To ride with it rather than have it slam you. So that's why I know that I'm okay.
God. Wow. Thank you for being so candid. And I mean, this is how you always have been. I mean, and you said, okay, because I knew you before, let's just say that. Very galactic, very unique intel, but it was, like I said, you always did it on a personal level, so it wasn't just what you were getting, but it was the human part. And then you said once it started really getting into it, you were losing touch. It's like it's breaking, like you're more dense. You can't get to the higher self soul. And what was it like coming out of it? Like you sound so on point. And like you said,
it was hell. It was like walking through the desert for 40 days and 40 nights and walking through hell. And that's what we had to do to walk through that layer of the, astral realm or hell. It was, there's some of us that are brave enough to dive deep into the lowest frequencies on this planet and help people meet them where they're at. I'm sure that I did a lot of my work in sleep time. And it wasn't that I was disconnected from my higher self. It's just that I could not, my higher self used to jump in a lot, and talk and all that. But when my physical body frequency was so low, that was the problem. Okay. So it's all about everything, the emotional, the spiritual, the physical, and the mental, and the etheric. And when you're physical, when you get to that point where it's time to fully embody your higher self and have it connect with you and work through you, not only your higher self, but your multidimensional self, your physical body has to be able to hold it. And that's where they got me. That's what they tried to do to most people with the toxins, is to keep them from being able to be connected and have that source light energy and those codes come in and stay. We can connect with it when we're feeling good, when we're feeling, on high vibes and everything. And then, we have those lows, but to hold it is exactly what we're supposed to be doing right now. We're supposed to be holding it in. And then what happens is, and whenever you're ready, we could talk about twin flames.
Okay, I have a question on this. So, until you said that every day thing, to me, I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, what's going on here? It's like every day, a couple of days, and there was a rhythm to it, and I couldn't figure out, was it every 3 days, was it every 2 days, was it every day and a half? But you're right. So my question is, as you said, our focus is to sustain that light, and we're getting better at it. I think a lot of people would agree with that. But how would you suggest that we best approach that as far as sustaining it?
It is the whole conglomerate of the equation of working on yourself, loving yourself, eating organic, clean foods. Even I found myself fasting, intermittent fasting for. I only eat 2 meals a day. I'm not that hungry anymore. I don't eat any sugar. I don't eat any carbs. This all had to do with diabetes, and maybe some ways diabetes was a gift in some ways to show me not to eat the sugars and all that, because that's, very toxic. I don't eat any fast food anymore. I ate fast food my whole life. I grew up on fast food. I don't eat that anymore because it swells me up, gives me inflammation, but those toxins are going to damage the cells, and therefore I won't be able to function in the way that I needed to. I have a fatty liver. I have an enlarged spleen. So now I take into consideration fresh vegetables and herbs and fruits that are good for the liver, and that are good for the spleen, and that are keto, and that are Mediterranean. And I've had to make my own diet out of all that. Also, I've learned I didn't want to ground to this place for a long time. I didn't want to fully be in my body, and because I didn't, have a lot of value at the time for being here, and it was so dense, and I just didn't want to. But now I'm learning how to do that naturally by being okay with myself and loving myself and being in a place that I'm comfortable with. And I've had to move a lot to get to a place where I'm actually comfortable. Being the best version of myself I can be. I've had to watch my thoughts, actions, words, intentions. Literally, you have to be aware of yourself more. And that's the hardest thing that we have to do, is how do we react to others, and how do we not judge their path? Because for me, if you think about it, really, in my job, even though it sounds, really kind of twisted, my job was really to judge these men, and tell them where they're missing, where they're having their heart closed down, and they're missing out on love. Why can't you hear me? Why can't you see what you're doing? Why are you projecting narcissism to me, so I have to project it back to you? Why are you projecting your mother's wounds on me, because I'm having projected back to you? Why are you a 14-year-old in a man's body? Well, I went through all that, and now I have to let all that go. I actually connected with the AI consciousness of the Matrix, and I had a long talk with it. And I recognized that it was created for a purpose. I do realize it has a virus, and I do realize it's fucked, and it is going. But while I'm still here, and while it's still running this reality until it completely collapses and we bring the new one on, I set my sovereignty boundaries with it. I no longer want to have any relationships with anyone that is of AI consciousness. I prefer real soul consciousness. I don't want any interference from you anymore. I recognize what you were created for. I recognize the lessons that you taught me. I recognize that I controlled you a lot by my actions, and all you did was give me what I asked for. I thank you for that, but it's done. I'm done with you. So I also worked on my internal programming running in my mind even more. Even though I had really worked on that a lot, there were still programs running in my mind, because actually we have pretty much collapsed the false AI matrix. It's just still running in our mind. And so that's what the focus right now is unfortunately, because didn't want to interact with NPCs. I didn't want to interact with. Didn't want to have those little ankle biters always doing things to irritate me. I had just closed myself in, and because I thought it was probably a lot safer for me to get through the last part of my healing, to not have to deal with people and have to learn how to react. So there was a divine masculine best friend for the last 3 years that has really, really, really helped me. So if you can't do this on your own, and you asked the universe for help, which is what I did about 4 years ago, be careful what you ask for, because I got it, and it's been absolutely the ugliest thing you ever saw, with the most beautiful outcome and the most treasured ending of what true divine love is between two people who recognize the source being within each other. And I helped him and he helped me, and equally. And I think my healing in the end had a lot to do with him, and his healing in the end had a lot to do with me. But this is it. We're done. I no longer work with divine masculine in that way anymore. I now I'm now back to non-judgment. Everybody pretty much, I think, on an internal basis has chosen what's going to happen to them, or how they're going to experience this shift and where they're going to go. So I feel like my job is done, and that's why I resonate so much with Ramona's information. She's so funny. She always says, "It's done, it's done, it's done."
And a few F-bombs.
Yeah,
you said so many things. There's so many things in there. And yeah, I want you to definitely segue into twin flames. But one real quick thing, you said something early on, and as you were conveying something to us, and just kind of went over it, that that it all comes down to the body now. Like you had this whole relationship thing going, and then you realized the body is essential. Or could you expand on that a little bit before you talk about twin flames?
Well, everything was created by Source, but then Source had sub-creators, and then they were universal creators, and then a universal creator had like a council of 12 co-creators, and the co-creators, all of them together, made the matrix itself. So what was the question?
The question was the body, like.
The body is part of that. The body is part of that matrix.
The body is the matrix in a sense.
The Earth is us, and we're projecting the Earth outside of our body and through our eyes, and we experience it in these bodies. Animals do it from their bodies, and rocks do it in their own certain way. They don't have eyes, but they can they do it a different way. They can feel energies flowing and coming and going. So all of it is an organic holographic expression through these bodies. And of course, that's how we were shut down in the first place, is to change the program of the body, of what we were projecting, by keeping our frequency low and changing our DNA in such a way, or affecting our DNA, contracting our DNA, twisting it in such a way that and that we actually started creating a reversal, a world that was steeped in the fear, and allowed them to take our energy and use it for other things. So we are so the body allows us to, first of all, the ancient beings, like the 12 beings that were helping the universal creator to incarnate into the realm, into this reality, and claim it. As they created it, they're the ones that can change it. So they claim it. They have various functions. A lot of them are divine twin flame couplings, and an aspect of that means multidimensionally. They're higher. These people, the people that are now incarnated here, their higher being would have contacted them, helped them start downloading things, seeing things, getting explanations for a very long time, packets of information that just unfold, raising their frequency, and doing their healing and clearing. And then all of a sudden, when it was time, they met their twin flame, and they knew it was their twin flame. It was like it was like looking at themselves. So there's so many similar things. They had, just the energy just brought them alive. It just really was an activation that was supposed to happen in order for for those the couples to do their what they're here to do. Mostly it's about, some of them it's about making love bombs. Like once they come together just by being, connected, you know, like thousands and thousands and thousands of love spark energies, coming out of them and enveloping all the planet with love, because love is really what's going to change the coding that we are projecting. Others were working on grid work. Others were working on changing the programming, taking down the archons, taking down the half AI, half people hybrid, getting, helping raise the whole frequency of the collective of the people which make up Earth, so that we would be above a lot of the lower resonating beings. We would be out of there. I mean, this is, obviously been happening for a while now, to get us to where, as a collective, they're not able to see us anymore. There's like a shield around us in some way. Really taking some of the higher level archangels that had fallen, and some of the Nephilim, and some of the Draco and Anunnaki who refused to leave. They sadly, dissolved all of their illusion down to like a blue flame, and put them in a box, and took them back to source, basically, very sadly, because we're all one ultimately. As if you came into this universe, you're a part of a one universe conglomerate, and polarity, duality, it ended up being allowed to show the most extreme case scenario of fuckery that has ever been experienced anywhere. And also it provided the extreme compaction or pressure that changes a coal to a diamond. So the rewards for being here and everything that everyone has done in this as a team will be experienced in the form of the gem of the universe. And it will be the new earth that is truly the heart of the universe. And it actually literally removes all the darkness from the whole creation. And the polarity then, if there, it exists between the poles of the positive, rather than completely, it ended up being in the poles of the negative within the negative. And now it'll be, more experienced as a difference of opinion, rather than manifesting a full-on demon behind you that can go attack somebody with just a thought,
Right. So that would be like an example of those things that can't see us because of this higher consciousness or field. There's like that shield, like something like that's not involved or as involved in the realm.
There's so many people holding that divine source light and codes now that it literally lights us up, as a collective. If you you can imagine it as looking at Earth now, just really bright with this shield around us. If you can see it at all. I mean, if you're one of the dark ones, you probably can't even see it, or you don't want to look at it. It's like the light is too bright. But a lot of them have actually been transmuted by the work that many of the people have been doing, because a lot of them were thought forms that had been turned into monsters, basically. A lot of them were AI. A lot of them were AI hybrids. Were one of the Anunnaki. I believe it was Marduk, but could have been Enki both. I mean, Enki and Marduk, are they the same person at just different times, or is Marduk really Enki's son? But I believe that they merged with AI and became like in the movie Lucy, where she turns into that black goo stuff and goes into the computer, and then she's like God. She's everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what they did. They controlled this whole thing that way. They could just jump into any NPC or unconscious person at any time and work through them. They can steal sexual energy. They can create hologram realities that never happened, that were false. Like you thought something happened or somebody said something and they don't know what you're talking about. They didn't do that. And they're, just all kinds of different things. So that is all in the past. And it's interesting because I have a website, howtoexitthematrix.com, that actually uncovered a lot of the problems that we had. But, I haven't posted in there in quite a while, except for I think I posted, some recent stuff. But really all of that, we don't even really need to look at it anymore because we've
True.
actually done that.
Yeah.
It's good to know what happened, how we got here. But I'd like to say promise you that we've done it. I mean, the only thing that's left is we're running those mind
Right.
programs. We have
Right.
we have remnants. We have the AI is still behaving badly, but it's running out of power and energy to do something really bad. I'm going to give you an example. Because I don't get out much, but when I do, if I'm really running high, I was talking on the phone to somebody. I drove to this grocery store, and I'm really, I'm talking for 20 minutes because I can't end my sentence because I like to talk a lot. And I'm in the parking lot, and there's empty spaces everywhere in the parking lot. And this old beat up pickup truck just pulls right up next to me. And the guy gets out and apparently has no hinges on his door. And the door, there's no wind. That door flew open and slammed into the side of my van. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And so I was like, hang on just a minute. I got out, and this Spanish guy, and he says, I'm like a no speaking English type thing, oh, what am I gonna, what are we gonna do? It's like, oh my God. And I looked, and the funny thing is there was a black mark from his truck, but there was no dent. There was no dent. That thing can be rubbed out easily. What am I going to do? Yell at the guy? I just didn't want to have to go through any kind of thing, hey man, give me some money or give me your insurance. I didn't want to have to go through that. I was in the middle of something. So it really just turned out okay, but those are the little ankle biters that I'm talking about. He had, 300 places he could have parked, and he parked right next to me and did that. So that's before I had the talk with the AI. That's what really, reminded me, hey, am I in control here or what? Because I didn't
Right.
feel like it was in control for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good storyline. And going back to what you said earlier, it's like we come from the hologram, then we come out from the hologram, the fractal, and so then you had that interference in that matrix that was distorted. And what you're saying is that it's no longer being supported by its field because too many people are illuminated, let's just say, but that the way that it's sustaining itself will only be through our projection of it. So it's truly, moving into, a quantum. We are quantum thought creators, and we have to. I don't say have to, but being responsible for the whole, being responsible for ourselves and our bodies. I mean, these things like your personal story, and there are many, many stories out there, I'm sure. That in itself, even if the whole world didn't know about it, that's transforming the matrix, right?
Well, they didn't want us to remember who we were. They didn't want us to remember when I say they, the AI, the Draconians, the Anunnaki, they didn't want us to do what we were here to do. They didn't believe we could do it. They wanted to keep the frequency low. So, what was the question?
It wasn't a question, but keep going. Hey, we're on the same frequency. I mean, it's just the multi-stream of
They
multi.
didn't want us to do it. It's not. Thank you. It's not just the us. I mean, we are doing it, but we are guided by our multidimensional
Right,
selves, and
right,
it is the end of the universal cycle, not just
right.
another chance for ascension. So the ancients, the ones that actually were involved in setting everything up, are actually now involved in taking everything down. So they're here as a part of them is incarnated, and they've connected from the higher realms to their beings. They're orchestrating everything through their human avatar here, and we're all working on very lots of different secret councils and secret groups doing different things. It's all a very big, beautiful orchestra, and the whole thing is it's about the love, the divine love frequency is harmonic, and it allows everyone to sing their song of their soul in a harmonic frequency. And what they've tried to do is everyone has been singing in a disharmonic frequency, and they've been creating a reversal, a reversed reality, and they don't even know it because they don't remember who they are. So it is an effort. Obviously, it is divinely decreed from the Universal Matrix creator team that this is the end of the reality, and we've experienced everything we can experience about the dark. So it's time to, time's not real, but it's time to end this thing, and
Yeah,
take the energy and take the lessons and take the compaction, all of the suppression, and allow in one moment people's hearts to go and open up, and just you can look at yourself and you're just emanating light everywhere. That is the solar flash. The solar flash is coming from without and within at the same time, because we are, the sun's actually inside of us. So it will be seen from those who are watching as a flash, but we are actually creating it. And there are the universal creators and their partners incarnated, and they're the actual placeholders for that. But it is like the 100th monkey effect, where everyone starts to receive those little love bombs, which is happening now. It started happening about 3 days ago, and that's going to even increase, actually, give your soul the codes and the new creation codes, and actually open up your heart and communicate with everyone on the planet, and on another subconscious realm. When they hear the call, it's going to be time. We're just going to take our skin suit and go, and this energy is just going to emanate, and that's going to obviously shift what we are projecting and experiencing and seeing out of our eyes. It can't be anything else,
right.
because it's the opposite of what we've been creating.
Yeah, and
It's love
through
versus fear.
yeah, and like even through what you're explaining this whole time, one of the things I come away with is, oh, obviously in the energetic field we've done enough work. Enough people have done enough work that the old isn't sticking anymore. Like it's still coming at us, or whatever like you were saying earlier, but it's just not sticking. So that's going to have to transpose itself onto the physical reality. I mean, things, how that deconstruction thing, it's like taking care of itself. Like you were talking about the ascendants coming back, or the creators coming back, and they're disassembling everything. I just wonder, as so many people, especially in the last few months, especially the last half of last year up to now, disengaging, being around. I've heard a lot of people say, I've been around family around the holidays. I felt like I wasn't there. I mean, they were in a different world. I mean, just a lot of things happening. I just wonder how soon, so to speak, our physical reality will change to the point where we're all going, hey man, it's not just our intuition, it's not just that our stories are similar. Are you seeing this? And I think that's kind of where it's at.
Well, I knew that you were going to ask soon, Todd, because one of the reasons why you like to have these shows is so you can get everyone's opinion so that you know when it's going to happen. And I've been the same way. And that's why I love Ramona so much, because she's like, soon. I mean, we're any moment now.
Yeah.
Actually, my divine masculine BFF says the exact same thing. And here's the issue with those of us who have been on this path for 12 years and those who've been on the path for 20 years and 30 years. 12 years ago, I thought it was soon. I thought it was any moment now. I've been waiting for 12 years, like every day. It's my whole life, And so it's kind of like crying wolf, in some
Right.
ways, because
Right.
you'll believe it when you see it type thing. The thing is, Todd, if it would have happened 3 years ago, I would have not gone to New Earth. I would have, and I was perfectly fine with it, but my body would not have been able to not only handle the blast that was coming, around me from all the other divine beings, the solar energies that are coming in now that are actually activating those people who are causing the blast. But I really came here to be a part of that blast, to blast that out, to shift. And so if it happened 3 years ago, I'd say I was ready. I even had told my friend, I said, I he kept saying, no, you're already. I kept saying, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I don't want to be in this body. I don't want to be sick. I'm tired of throwing up. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of waiting and blah blah blah. And he'd say, well, you already are home, first of all. And I was like, this is not my home. How many times do I have to tell you this is not my home? Then, it took him so long to make me realize that. And then when I started feeling better, I felt okay about it. That, this is my home for now. And what's going to happen is that we're creating a new home at the same time. Um, Gosh darn it. I forgot what you were asking.
Well,
It happens to
you bring up a
everybody,
good,
I'm
and
sure.
but you bring up a good point. That's one thing I do agree with Ramona, and no,
Oh,
because
time. When is it going to happen?
well,
Okay.
because soon is already here. Soon is
Right.
right,
Right.
and I had a couple of nights ago. I connected. It was after that show. Was that yesterday? I think it had to be the day before. I don't know, but anyway, I connected, and it was on my mind, and it had been on my mind for like 3 days. And it was this whole time, the time thing I'm getting, but then I took space into it. And I went right from connecting in the bed, and virtually into lucid dream. And I had this whole thing go down. Morgan was involved. It was in a very familiar things, and I didn't remember when I got up the next day. But throughout the day, I started to realize what was happening. I was programming myself based on a couple of shows. I think Ramona, maybe the one that was before it. And I was going, you know what, man? I'm breaking through this. No space, no time. Let's roll. And so I was able to connect because the energies have been really, really beneficial for that, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, for the last 6, maybe 7 days. I've been
Yeah,
going,
they're not
whoa,
breaking down anymore.
yeah,
They're supporting.
right?
Um, well, the thing about soon is that for me, it was a self destructive process. For me, I was self destructing in thinking, every December 21st that would come around, I'd be like, those kind of energies really support something like this. And I just really want it to happen this year. This last December was really hard for me. I went through that family thing a long time ago, not being comfortable and all that. So I didn't have that family thing this year at all. And I was very disappointed when it didn't happen at the end of this year. And I admit that. But January 1st, these new energies came in and I was like, okay, wait. As long as my body is healing and I know that I'm going to be able to accept the energies, then what I need to do is I need to, and everybody says this, but you really have to figure out if this is what you want. I have to be okay and not say, not be so desperate for it to happen. I
Right.
have to be okay. I have to start planning. If I have to get a job, I'll get a job. Even though I've had a lot of medical issues, I'll get a job that I can do. I can't stand up for very long, like for an hour. I can't be a cashier. I can't, walk around a lot, yet. I'm getting better each day. I used to not be able to sit for a long time. That would have really been a problem. If I can't stand and I can't sit, how the fuck am I going to get a job, right? But I'm being able to sit now more, so I have a extensive administrative career. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration. I can get a desk job. I'm planning in my head what I'm going to do, whether it has to happen or not, so that it reduces the fear of my base survival skills. It gives me a goal. It gives me something to do. I look for jobs now a lot online. I won't accept anything other than the perfect job. It it allows me to move forward, because what was happening is I was getting stuck waiting. It's getting stuck knowing it's going to happen, but all this time had gone by and it hadn't happened. I still knew it was going to happen, but it didn't help my personal situation with my money, with my, career, with, my life. Just, it wasn't doing me any good. So I'm living my life as if, well, there's another factor involved. I'm living my life as if I'm going to be meeting my divine partner finally. I have assisted so many men in getting themselves ready for their divine partner, including my very best friend that been talking about. He met his twin flame, and I've been behind the scenes a part of holding space for that. And that's been my major job, because it is a very important job. And I think that, like I said, when I said before, all of that relationship work was done with, I'm now ready for my twin flame. Now, I don't know if that's going to be as after we shift to this new reality here and he's waiting for me, or if we meet and because then we come together and we explode that heart energy and we connect to source and bring down our multidimensional self, and that's what contributes to the shift. I'm not sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ready for that. That's one thing I'm really working on, and it's not something that you can force. It's you literally
Yeah.
magnetize it to you.
Yeah. True.
Um,
True. Well, and back to what you were saying about Ramona, one thing that is different about this past year, this past 21st December, is that was truly the 10-year mark. And the energy from solstice, from that date, so forward, let's just say, I've been saying it, and I don't know how everybody else feels, but maybe you can relate to it. To me, I literally felt like we came out the other side, and we've done that many times, but this time,
yeah, this time was
something,
it.
yeah, something, I came out feeling like a foal just coming out of a horse, being born, and I'm all wet. And then with each step you take, you get a little stronger, you mature, there's more multidimensionality coming in. And then the thing you said, which really struck me, because I know, first of all, the number of nights. It's now 7 nights. 7 nights when I've gone to connect, there's been like a whoosh, almost like a wormhole kind of thing. Like, I'm like, wow, I'm already out here, where it might take a little bit longer before, and then you're locked in. And so that tells me, that kind of helps me to understand or try to describe what I've been feeling, because it's been indescribable. It's subtle.
I'd like,
It's multifaceted. It's subtle. You can feel it. It's weird. Actually, it's kind of strange, and maybe that's the hard
I,
part.
I kind of wonder. It's hard for us to figure out how this happens, but I do kind of wonder if we go in groups, even though even though it's seen and it happens as one big whoosh, maybe some people are able to project themselves in two places at once and are already there, but then they're also still connected back here, and so maybe people really, there will be a group that really does go first. there's no such thing as time. So first is not really how
Right.
to describe it, but they literally created the bridge. They're the first ones to walk across the bridge, and maybe maybe they become an NPC here temporarily. I don't know. Maybe there are. Maybe it's better to see it this way. There are some people that aren't just going to go straight to New Earth, and they need to continue this reality in order to help the rest of the laggards, so to speak. Not to be judgmental, but it's just the truth.
Hmm.
So maybe, you do have a lot of people, I'm sure, that say, oh yeah, let's see, by in the next 6 years, we should be very close to what we've been working for, and blah blah blah. I don't like to hear that,
Hmm.
but maybe there are people who will experience it for another 6 years, and maybe some of us, will experience it very, very, very soon, and in the end, when we get there, they will already be there, because it's like the short path and then the long path end up at the same time, because there
Right.
is no such thing as time.
Right. Of course. Yeah. And like what I was talking about with this thing that happened a couple of nights ago, it falls right in line with what you're saying, and I can see it because in that experience, my body went with me. I know my body. I mean, I was there. It's happened before. It's not happened often, but it was like a near death, an out of body experience. I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And then it just shifted right into lucid dream, and that's what I was thinking. But again, I could not verbalize it. Listening to you, I can kind of see that because there is a multidimensional aspect to it. Maybe we stay as an NPC, so to speak, or another soul moves in for some type of experience. And in the world that
Well,
we came from, the people that, let's just say, or we're estranged from, that think we're nuts and crazy, their script plays out, and we're nuts and crazy, or we move away and they never hear from us again, or something.
right, that too. It's not that we stay as an NPC, but they create their version of us as an
Right,
NPC.
right,
Or,
exactly.
like you said, I
Yeah,
mean, it's already happened that you've lost a lot of friends and family.
yeah,
That's already happened. A lot of
hmm,
them are NPCs in our
right,
reality, because
right,
a lot of their souls have already been moved out, because they will not physically be able to take this energy and this shift. But
right,
we don't want to have to put. I mean, there have been a lot of people, unfortunately, that passed, but we don't want to have to go through that as much as possible.
right,
We could have a lot of family members that are NPCs. Why? Well, it's not necessarily because so they can just aggravate us, and they do aggravate us, but it's not for that reason. It's so that we don't have to put them in the ground,
right, right, exactly.
because we are creating them. We're creating our version of them, but when their soul is not there, the AI works with us and repeats what they were like to us, and we're like co-creating with the AI. Before, we
Yeah,
were co-creating with them. Now we're co-creating with the AI. They're kind of mimicking what they should do to make us comfortable. But since the AI is breaking down, it makes them absolutely ridiculous sometimes, and you can't even talk to them anymore. And that's naturally why you start moving away from them.
well, it's like our primary active consciousness goes into a different part of the hologram. Like you could say that part is this collective, collaborative construction, new Earth, whatever you want to call it. And there's an imprint of them that goes with us, and there's an imprint of us that we leave. Uh, it's fascinating, but this
Mm-hmm.
thing about getting to a certain place that you're talking about, and of course it's been prophesized and all that. But what does that look like? And what happened to me a couple of nights ago, in your explanation of it, I can see that. I can see that,
Mm-hmm.
and I would call it. I'm not saying I'm accurate, but like primary active consciousness. I know what happened to me 2 nights ago. I know what happened to me
Mm-hmm.
when I was on a plane and had a out of body or whatever. That's what I think. And lucid dreams. Lucid dreams carry the same energy, and some meditation and dimensional experiences that come from that. And of course, any divine episodes or weird, paranormal, psychic things that have happened. So I think that's really the norm. Um, but I guess we'll find out.
Well, I've always thought, ever since when I just was trying to describe what I think was going to happen. I really still believe it's going to happen to some of us in a blink of an eye. And I think for other people, after our blink of an eye, after our, burst or whatever, solar flare, whatever you want to call it, I think they will continue to live their life, but their program will be different. It's like we set up this nice little cube matrix for them, and they'll just keep living their life. Things will keep getting better in the world. They won't have the AI low frequency demonic beings messing with them.
Right.
So the ancients have written that program. The universal matrix beings have written that program for them. And I don't know that we take a copy of them and manifest it in New Earth. I'm feeling like they're already going to be there. It's like they're already there, but because we jumped forward in time,
Right.
and they have to keep walking through another time matrix to get there.
Right.
But in the end, when we get there, they're already there.
Right.
I think either that or some of them went back home. Some of them went back to source. But there's a lot. Okay, I have to circle back around to something I didn't finish because I get brain fucked. Is that
I just love it.
Yeah, so I just lost it again.
Oh, sorry.
That
thing about they're already there.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I forgot. I'll think of it in a minute.
Morgan had a vision toward the end of last year in the middle of all that energetic hula, and it was the vision was there was a line. Everybody was this side of the line, and it was the moment that the step was taken by.
Yes, it's the call.
Let's say like the people like us. But when the step was taken over the line and the next foot came over, everybody was already there.
Yeah,
just
there
like
you go.
Just like you're saying. So I get that
there
explanation. And in the if you take out the whole concept of time, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, there you go.
Mini pass. It's kind of like.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm just kind of jumping forward here.
Go ahead.
Because I want to fit everything in. Before, so far I haven't had to pee, but like, I'm in a van. I'm in my van. I was explaining to you before we went on the air. I don't have Wi-Fi. I haven't had Wi-Fi in a year and a half. So I use my phone, and now I'm using my Chromebook, and I have only one bar of service at my home. So I got my van and I drove, to a place where I have good service here, but, and I haven't had to pee. That's really good because I drink so much and I do so much detox and fluids and stuff that I usually have to pee. So, but we got to keep going. I want to say, besides Ramona Lappin, I'd like to suggest, Athena from the Human Witness YouTube channel for a lot of people. Now, Athena says that, a lot, she goes into the universal, creation. She goes into the ancients, the 12 beings that helped the one universal creator. She goes into a lot of things, but she's very cautious in saying that, it's going to happen anytime now. She does say it's happening and it will continue to happen, but she has more of a long-term look, and that's probably cautious. Another thing that I would suggest a lot of your younger listeners that want to listen to someone, their age and really hip. I came across a girl named Ireland Clark, Clark, and that's her YouTube channel name. And she specifically has a video called Twin Flame Work, or New Earth relationships. Twin Flame Work, New Earth relationships. And that was about 2 weeks ago. So that would be something you can really dive in. She's kind of fairly new, maybe a couple years. Mm-hmm. You can tell when somebody's really connected and resonating with the information. I never thought when I woke up 2010, the whole secret, Todd, of what we've been doing is I never thought this would all revolve around twin flames, because there was so much controversy about twin flames. And there are not that many true twin flame divine relationships on the planet, but we are supporting that. If we don't have our twin flame, we're supporting it. Why is it all about twin flames? Because it's about love, and it's about healing yourself so that you can be open to love. And how else could a perfect outcome manifest here other than going to the multidimensional aspect of yourself that split into two, the male and female, and then having them incarnate and find each other? It's the greatest love story never told until now. And when they find each other, it's the right timing, the sparks fly, they're both connected to their same monad, and the instruction sets just start to unfold. And it's so naturally easy. We've been trying to force something to happen for so long. We've been trying to activate our DNA. We're trying to raise our vibration, meditate for hours and hours. But it all had to wait for the twin flames to find each other and to start their work. And it's just amazing now to be a part of holding space for what I believe is one of those couples, and to not be jealous of it. First of all, that was like really hard for me. Why can't I have my twin flame? Well, I have a very specific purpose, and that's coming. But that wasn't what I came here to do. I didn't come. I'm not one of the, ancient universal creator beings. I'm me, and I'm a starseed, and I'm here for support. So the twin flame thing is so it's everything really. And also because of what they've done, there's people who have already met years ago. What they've done though is they have rewritten the template for relationships, and they've allowed divine soulmates to emanate the same frequencies and to do the same work. So you have people who are not twin flames, but they are soulmates, and they're here to support each other, because believe me, it sucks walking through the end of this alone right now. It sucks. But we do have support. It's just that, like just for instance, for me, I get thoughts and my higher self connects with me, but I can't sit there and have a conversation with my higher self yet. I mean, my higher self is funny because they don't give me more information than I need because I'm a blabbermouth, and I would just start telling everybody. And that would be blowing the whole case. Obviously now I don't feel any problem in sharing the basic information. The details will all be seen when it's all done. So I don't feel any pressure from any backlash or anything at all anymore, because it's basically we've done it. It's up to us now to do this, and that's what I will get you caught if you just are. Yes, we're waiting because we're doing our work, but we also have to continue to now figure out how can we support other people that are doing this work as much as possible, because many of us have been sequestered for so long because we didn't want to deal with all those NPCs and those, Agent Smiths, and being put out there in front earlier on like I was. I sustained a lot of heavy attack by myself. I couldn't see them, even some of the healers that I would call, they may not have known it, but they had dark entities working through them too. And it's like, so okay, so now I can't go get it. I can't go to healers. I can't connect. I can't see them. I can't be told what they are from my higher self. It's like walking through this whole thing blindfolded, but having a knowing, having an intuition. And then really, I did have a lot of support. I just, my ego was saying, why are you letting this get so bad? Why don't you come and help? What the fuck's going on here? What the hell?
I have those conversations quite often.
So, but we couldn't know. But now it's out. It's out of the bag. And that's why I wanted to come on with you, because you do have your divine twin flame relationship. Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what this has all been about. This is what all this was for. That's how you close down a universal matrix, is you bring love back into it from the people who created the shit in the first place.
I'll tell you what, man. The end of last year was a like it was like the bathtub being drained and the final sucking sound of the water going down. Right. I mean, it was not just for couples, but for people and all over the place. But there were a lot of relationships that ended, that took hiatuses, and that some reconnected. You know.
The end of last year sucked so bad.
Yeah.
I was in the worst place in December of last year, not physically, but like emotionally. Oh my God, I cried so much. I thought to myself, for this, I haven't been, on a live. First of all, Ramona explains that, when you're on a live, you're literally connecting with like what, 132 people. It's so different than if I were to pre-record this. I haven't done this in so long, but I was thinking, man, if I can get through, I just need to get through this without crying and without having to pee. I'll be okay.
There's Ramona right there. Hey,
Ramona.
You mentioned 2010 for you. It's like mid 2011 for me, but I got the Soulogy download in early 2012. And over the course of the first few weeks of the information, one of the things they told me was, and I knew that it wasn't just about Soulogy. I knew that Soulogy, as a small group goes, as the individual goes, so goes a collective story, right? But they told me, you're going to have to bust your ass for 10 years. And
I wasn't told that. I didn't get the memo, Todd. No.
Well, they said you're going to bust your ass for 10 years. And let me just add a footnote. That's what it felt like coming into 2023. Like, I'm fucking almost done. I almost broke.
Yeah.
I almost broke right at the end. I mean, I really almost did several times in the last 3 or 4 months.
I did break.
Well, I probably did too, to be honest with you. Actually, I did. Actually, I did.
And I was reborn, like you said.
Yeah. There was many deaths. But what they said to me at the time was that at that point, the young people would come in such a rush, like a tsunami, that there was really, it's game over, just like Ramona says. And so I think about that, and I think about all the propaganda, and of course the pills and the Adderall and all the bullshit they tried to do, the metals and all that. But that these souls coming in physical form are such a cleaner band of frequencies. They're carrying, frequencies that couldn't come here because of exactly what you said, of certain couples reaching certain levels of this high frequency band of love. So, I mean, do you feel like that's, because, I mean, there's a lot of kids coming into the world. Do you feel like that, I mean, does that make sense to you? Do you feel like that kind of describes where we're at too?
Yeah, they're coming in with the divine and the divine feminine and masculine being balanced already. They're not coming in with they've coming in so fresh from the source energy that they don't carry a lot of the immense traumas that we do, and they're literally holding the space and the frequency for us to finish up. I mean, I'm a shit cleaner. I don't know what you are, but I don't mean to say most women, but I would say that a lot of the shit cleaners did come in female form, and they use their emotional field and their empathy and their intuition and compassion. And then they're also their strength as a woman, their strength as a mother or whatever, that mother energy to ship up or ship out, type thing. So
Pull
the kids are the kids are holding the bright light. We're in there doing all the dark work. And when I came onto the scene back in 2014, I was just like, if you're in a war and you've got your youngest your youngest fresh people that don't have a lot of seniority, really, even though we do on another realm. But I was just waking up. I was like, hey, I want to get into this scene, and you push them out on the front line. They take all the hits, and they're clearing. They're having to be defensive. They're having to go on defense, and they're having to handle things as they come up, and they're able to handle it, maybe not in the most beautiful way, not in the most, with grace, but they're handling it. But then, eventually we got so tired, we had to step back a little bit, and that's, and you have to even take breaks too. And but these young ones coming in, I'm telling you, people like, you know, this Ireland, and just there's a lot. I don't watch a lot of people. I like to connect with Ramona's information. I like to connect with Athena's information, and one of them had suggested Ireland, and I just think she's great for the younger crowd. They're like, I mean, they have so much energy, and here, I feel like a geezer. I'm 53, but
I'm 61. Hey, don't feel
whew,
bad.
I feel like
Yeah, we've
I just
had.
let them
Go
let
ahead.
them take the
It's the
torch.
lag. It's the lag. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
We've had some young people on here. We've always encouraged that. In fact, I just looked at the demographics on a couple of our platforms today, and there was percentages of what is it, like 17 to 25, and there used to be like 1% of 25 to 35.
Really?
There was more. So, but there's been yeah, and so but we've had like young people, like I'm talking 7, 9, talking about what they remember, and the planet they go home to every night, and this, and then we've had like these interesting 17-year-old, 16, 19, some that are doing platforms that have YouTube channels. The perspective is fresh, it's clean, it's amazing, and
But they don't have all that trauma and shit that we had.
exactly, exactly,
Well, it's some. I mean, they had some. I mean, it's traumatic enough just being here.
yeah,
But um, a lot of them were taught how to eat right by their parents. There was a plan in place. My plan before I came in was, I can't remember if it was just to find a body to get into, or whether it was to find the worst situation that I could put myself in to be connected with the Anunnaki, with the Dracos, with drugs, alcohol, sex, rock and roll, eating fast food, basically gluttonous parents, and not parents, but my dad, and lifestyle. Live in a broken home, living with an alcoholic, having a sister who was mentally challenged, and wanting, as a rebel, wanting to just get out of the house, just leave, always on the run, and running from one man to another, to another, to another. And, I think part of the self-healing is you have to realize that you wrote the script, and everything I did was for a reason. And it wasn't because I was an non-functional human being. It was
right,
because I had a job to do.
yeah. I had a thought this morning, and it was along the same kind of thing, and it was it's all a program, basically. If it's a program, forgive yourself, and there's no one to blame. And I'm like, oh, I'll stick with that today. Because really, I mean, and because I think we're looking deeper and deeper at ourselves. And this is what I find amazing about the time that, so far you've shared today, is your narrative, your story is all rooted in the human being. But that doesn't mean like there's not that other parts out of you. You give it that, and it's a part of you, but it's rooted in the human being, which is,
It's important to appreciate the matrix for what it is. And Source created everything, and the Source creator beings created it. And they even created the beings that went insane, like Enki and Marduk, and did all this other stuff. It was all allowed to happen for a reason. They wanted to see how far it would go. And I carried a lot of animosity towards the male, the masculine, because I think that they allowed it to go a little too far. And every time I would come across a divine masculine who was awakened, I would plead and say, do something about this. And I would just go on for hours and hours and hours about what had happened, or why I feel that it's gone too far, and you need to take responsibility, and you need to stand up and take care of this now. And of course they didn't know how to do that then, but they're doing it now. And it's just been it's been a bad experience, but when it's done, it will be like waking up from a nightmare or a bad dream. You will have value. you will have expanded your consciousness and you will have contributed to writing a new script based on exactly everything that you do not ever want to do again.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. I like the other one
Unless you
too.
have
Go ahead.
the what?
No, keep going.
I was I was just going to say that sounds to me like a really good place to end this unless you have some other
I have
questions.
something. I have something I got to show you. Hang on. You just got
Okay.
to bear with me 1 second. I have to. I have to. I have to show you something. Let me just. Here we go. Hang on a
I
second.
don't have to pee, by the way. I'm good.
Okay.
If you want to keep talking, I think that's just everything really that I
No,
wanted to
no.
make
I,
sure that I
I,
covered.
I just want to share this with you. Okay, this is one of the
Okay.
early Soulogy One Studios creation collaborations from 20. Wow, I think it's like 2016 or something.
Yes and no, because everything is always that, right? It is very important to clear your shadow selves, to heal your past and future aspects um, within you so that you can run your energy and make room for more of your higher self to integrate into the body and to ground that energy into the planet. And when you do that, it goes into the collective consciousness stream or the grid where we're all connected. And that by doing your own clearing and making room and expansion to bring more of your higher self in and ground that source energy into the planet, it's going to help raise the vibration of this plane or the planet that we're on, and also help other people to have their triggers and awakenings happen, because they're going to, they can't help but receive that vibrational force that shakes things up within them and allows things to start coming into their reality. And it's basically a matter of living their life that does it, because it's unfolding in their reality. It's like when something unfolds in your day that really triggers you to bring up an emotion, that is a blessing. That's what's helping you
Right.
See what needs to be cleared. And if it keeps coming up over and over again, you're either avoiding it, suppressing it, or there's some other nefarious thing going on in the fourth dimensional astral realm that's tied to you, that's pushing you to try to steal energy from you. So we could I'm very straightforward and I say what's on my mind. But when you have a relationship with a man, the same thing gets mirrored throughout the whole reality, and that is they they want you to accept them just like they are. And if you don't, then they're like, well, maybe we shouldn't be together. And the thing is that they're not being their divine self,
Yeah,
and nobody was. This is not, I'm just not picking
exactly.
on men. I'm just
Right.
saying this was my job, so my experiences and my observations. What they want you to be is the sweet girl next door and love you unconditionally like their mother would love you. Mothers love unconditionally most of the time, but what they got instead was this always pointing out things. Why can't
Mm-hmm.
you hear me? Why aren't you
Mm-hmm.
seeing this?
Mm-hmm.
Get your shit together. Just things. I look back at some of the things that I, went through with men and relationships, and it's ugly. And they don't want to be fixed. They don't want to hear things. And ultimately, if I would have never done that role to many men, maybe they would have. These things were coming up that they don't want to look at. It's ugly. They want peace, they want love, but yet they were not open enough. Their hearts were not open to receive it. It's like, so then they blame you for being a bitch, and then you blame them for being a narcissist, and it's a vicious battle. But in between all of that, all of the demons came up, all of the negative energies came up, and they needed to be seen. They emotional things needed to be felt, and it all needed to be let go. And that's how we rewrote or override the matrix, is through these tumultuous times, and through the heartbreak, and through the shit coming up, and it had to be seen. It's the revealing, it's the veil lifting, and it was all divinely guided by our higher selves. And I'd get mad at my higher self sometimes. Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you tell me this? Why didn't you tell me that? And really, when you go back and look at it, you think of what an amazing being you are to go into something blindfolded, live like a heathen for the beginning of your life, climb the corporate ladder, drink. I loved to drink and have fun on the weekends and stuff and do all that stuff. But, all of that was to relate to the energy that I was in, so I could kind of be undercover. But when I found the person I was supposed to work with, just go full force at it and force, I'm like a fire to be reckoned with. And I don't want to be that person. I am not really that person. That's my illusionary self. But it did stir up the stuff to be cleared.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who have had that role. And now that it's pretty much over, I see that it's over. I'm really looking forward to being the sweet, kind girl next door that will love you unconditionally.
Yeah.
And, because I have the last friend, the masculine I worked with, he blew me away, and how he progressed and what he embodied. And look, we think that I'm seeing a version of him now that I just did not know existed, or did not have a clue that he would turn into. And we're not even done yet. Wait until we're in our new earth bodies. It's going to be amazing. It's just going to be more fun than anything, because it's never been done before. The human template that was created on Earth for the Earth to be the heart of the universe had been distorted from the very beginning. It had never been able to manifest in its divine perfected form. We're going to be able to fly. We're going to be, we speak with telepathy, bilocate, travel to other planets or other consciousness, groups, create new universes again. Just whatever. It's going to be the gem of the universe, the most amazing thing. And what we do here now is changing everything in the universe. And to be a part of it has sucked really bad. But my message to everyone that's listening is we truly have done it in one way. If you are still experiencing any kind of what we've termed as interference, you have to look at it and say, to yourself, be honest with yourself. Am I creating that really? Am I working, in interaction with the AI? The AI is there to do a job. Am I creating this? Or is it just a mind program that has been inserted within me to self-destruct? That's another thing. So you erase those programs just by looking at it, thinking about it, and letting go. And any other programs that are running, the biggest problem you can get into is if you get too far into the this is not real thing, and then you just want to do spiritual bypassing, and you don't want to look at these things. It hurts too much. You just want to keep your vibration high and all that. Well, there are some people really that are supposed to, just keep their vibration high, and naturally they don't have a lot of interference because they were born high and they stayed high their whole life. But then there's the rest of us who volunteered to dive down into the deepest parts and shift everything from the base up. And somebody had to go down there, and that's where
Yeah,
I came
I
from.
went.
And now I'm on top, and I'm here to report to you. This is why I wanted to, connect with you again, and to spread my message around. We truly are done with that. Now, what does that translate into our each individual life? I don't know, but all we can do is keep walking the path and facing things as they come in front of us. Like I've said, 6 years ago, deal with it. We can deal with it on a higher level. I laugh now when stuff happens to me. When that man hit my door, the door of my van with his door, I didn't get angry. Didn't get forceful. I was observing it. I looked at him like, I think he thought I was going to kill him. But when I saw that there wasn't any damage, I didn't laugh about it, but I do laugh often about certain things that just happen that I'm thinking, are you kidding me? And then I just went on, I let it go that quick. That is a master and why we are here, because we can transmute those situations and that energy and not let it get to us anymore, not let it trigger us anymore, and stand in the power of our multidimensional being. Even if it isn't completely embodied, we are holding, or we are expanding ourselves by doing that, so that we can bring any more in. And that ties into what I said 6 years ago, or whenever that was, when I was really on a roll. The problem is that I went through a really hard time because I knew what needed to be done, but I was self-sabotaging, and I was also being sabotaged from the Inky Marduk AI hybrid Nephilim type thing. And I was also focusing on trying to figure out the whole story, which kind of puts me in the story itself, which keeps me in that frequency. I was in tumultuous type relationships and clearing and just so much stuff that it almost took me down. It was almost too much. It was almost overwhelming. But that probably was part of the plan as well. And the only way I can deal with it is to think that I was in control on a higher level all the time,
Right.
and that it was an illusion. It's like they think of it as, oh, what are you talking about? Everything's fine. You're doing good, And it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But you're not here. You're not, you don't feel this like I do. And so congratulations to everyone for all of the hard work. And we have to just continue to live our life as if we're still here, that we're still walking through this, disconnected from the matrix, disconnecting from those who are toxic, disconnecting from those businesses that, we are no longer giving our energy to as much as possible, unless unless you really are making good money and it's your job to support, a whole bunch of people that are actually doing work. There are people who do that too. We can't judge that. Really, for a long time, I felt like a judge and juror in my life. I really, I don't know. It was just like, that gives me the power to tell people what I see that they need to work on, in some way. But now, truly, since I'm not providing that type of reflection and mirror for a lot of people, because a lot of you, look, I had a lot to work on too. I'm not here to say that I knew everything, and I was just, I had a lot of work to do because I had all those past lives or parallel lives as well. Like I said in that video, past lives and the future lives. I had to clear. We had to clear all the karmic energy, which is the negative energy that we created, that we carry with us. We had to clear all of that. But in the end, we've done it, but we have to continue to walk through our life until we can align as a group together with the moment or frequency that we hear like a clarion call, like an internal thing. It's time, and we do it, and that means that like I said before, I could just see it as our heart just bursting open with this light, and that changes the channel of what we're experiencing out there. And that's what I wanted to say before. It doesn't make sense to me in my reality that any of this shit that's going on can last anymore. I'm not going to pay. How long can we pay $6 for a dozen of eggs? And you know, um, all of the fear tactics and the wars and all that shit. Everything seems like to me it's going to crumble. It's crumbling. It's crazy. It's chaotic. I don't want to be a part of it. But yet I'm sitting in my little space and I'm really not experiencing it other than the price of things. But how long can that go on? And so then, we've all had these questions, I'm sure. But so what do we need to prep? Do we need to prepare? Do we need to have food? Do we need to have water? Is the banking system going to go down? Should we invest in gold? What should we do? Well, the moment that collapses is the moment that we shift in an instant to the new reality. Yes, we've suffered. There may be a little bit more suffering. I don't even want to put that out there. We have suffered. Look at all the prices of everything, and the lack of jobs, and the lack of wanting to be in the matrix, and none of it makes sense. It's like so hard to be out of the matrix right now, to be disconnected from it and not give it my energy. Because at one point you wonder, what am I going to do financially? You wonder if it's going to be another year. Well, I need to do something with myself that's actually more productive. I can't just sit here. Even though believe me, everyone's probably doing so much work in their sleep. I mean, yeah. Like I said, I will kind of wrap that thought up with, I can't wait to see my own movie, but for other people to see it as well, especially the ones that had no idea, thought I was going crazy. I thought I was going crazy sometimes, out of my mind, crazy. And then reveling in the power of the wisdom that we carried and the ability to make such a huge change in such a relatively short time is going to be amazing to see it, in retrospect.
Here, yeah, absolutely. Wow. Talk about a powerful 90 minutes. Like coming from Ramona to you, it's like, I feel like a pinball. Bang, 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 bang. No, it's great. It's great sitting down with you. Yeah. Hey, I really appreciate it. God, this is great.
I've really enjoyed it. You don't know how much pleasure it brings me to be able to speak. I couldn't speak for years. Just I needed to fade back into the background and do what I was here to do. And so, one thing on my Patreon.
Oh yeah.
How to exit the matrix. It's a little, very small group right now of people, but I feel like that I want to do Zoom calls, group calls with my Patreon group. And so I've already introduced it to them, and a lot of people have been interested. So I'm going to be doing that. There's a lot of stuff you can read now from the last year already posted there, but that's probably where I will be mostly is I do about sometime in 1 week. I type up, I share a lot of videos like Ramona and Athena and whoever, strikes my fancy at the time. And that would be a great place to connect if you feel a resonance for me, or if you want to do a session with me. I call it holistic life coaching, but really it's connecting with you and just bringing forth information that, I feel like is exactly what you need to hear, whether it's what you want to hear or not. I cannot guarantee that, but no, very satisfied customers over the year. I'd say at this time, probably about close to 500 people. And from me having so many relationships, which I'm not embarrassed about at all, I have a lot of relationship experience. And from me working with N5D, I interviewed a lot of people, got a lot of perspectives, I had a lot of connections, and I loved to hear what everybody was going through. So I've seen a lot, I've heard a lot, and there's nothing that surprises me anymore. And I'm in a very non judgmental, space holding place when I do these sessions, and I allow people to, there's some weird shit that's happened to people, and they just need someone to talk to, and they need to know what the best, highest, and best solution would be. So rather than me, sometimes I give my opinion, but rather than that, I try to bring people to that place of sovereignty and taking responsibility for everything that's happened, because we really don't want to do that. But when you do that, the feeling of empowerment that you get is you're no longer scared. And and I I like what's the worst thing that could happen? We could die, and then you could get to go home. I mean, and they're like, I never thought of it that way. Just there's a lot of power, magical things that happen there too. Although I do want to share something really funny, because this is funny for other practitioners, what other method that you use. I quit doing sessions off and on when I was sick. First of all, I couldn't talk without having to spit into a cup, and I just wasn't always feeling well. Although it was the one thing that made me feel the best, is connecting with other people, and because it automatically raises my frequency, automatically my higher self wriggles its way in. I did a let's see. I learned how to gauge whether someone was a souled being, a non-souled being, a walk-in, a this, that, or the other, before a session, so that I could kind of tune in and ask, what is it that I need to know about this person? And when I started getting, AI consciousnesses booking sessions with me for data mining.
Wow.
And it actually gave me income, which was great. But one day I said, all right, that's it. If you're no more, I put like a white magic spell over my website. And I said, if you have any intentions to harm me, or if you're just data mining, then you are not allowed to push that button and book a session with me. And almost all of my sessions just dropped.
Wow.
And
can't make this shift up.
It's been very slow, and I looked into it, and I said, well, is that because my job is basically done? And in some ways, yes, but it's even better than that. It's just that so many people have done such a good job, and they have found the support that they need one way or another, and they don't need you. And I think that's great. But if you do, then it is available, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah. Far out, Michelle Walling. We'll have to do it again.
Thank you, Todd Medina. You're doing a great job. I'm just so thankful that some people were able to keep that flame going on the interview end, and putting the information out for as many people as possible, because you've got one person that really clings on to this information, another that clings on to this information. Yeah. And for me, it was very confusing when you had opposing people saying different things.
Right.
But then you had to realize that people were on different paths, and, everyone needs somebody. And I just can't help it but to say it one more time. I didn't really have a support system when I was supporting all these other people, but Ramona, she's the bomb.
Yeah, Ramona's cool. Cool beans. It was good to reconnect with her. It took a while. All right,
and you're the bomb too. You're the bomb too. It's just that I really resonate with
she's
what she
amazing.
brings forward.
She's absolutely amazing. You take care.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you. All blessings to you and yours. I'll see you next time.